Good morning. Good morning, everyone online. As many of you know, I was at a conference last week at the University of Toronto, this year virtually, so I was a little box. The focus of the conference this year was Buddhism and moral injury. And some of you expressed interest in hearing about it. So I picked a few things that I think can shed light on how we understand and negotiate our world now and how we respond to the challenges that we face. So the conference was held primarily for a group of us that have been meeting together for the last 10 years and some students and guests. Most of us teach or taught at graduate schools, and a few are from other Buddhist training centers and educational institutions like Upaya. You may have heard of Upaya. All of us have a focus on education for Buddhist ministers and chaplains, people who work in the world and are grounded in a strong foundation of Buddhist teachings and practices, and who serve in a variety of settings, for example, temples and Buddhist centers, hospitals, military, higher education, social service organizations like San Francisco Street Ministry, that sort of thing. And though I retired from my position at the Institute of Buddhist Studies, I'm still involved there. And I'm still involved with this organization because they're a great group of people. So the conference had been in the works for well over a year, and no one could have predicted how relevant the topic was for those of us that went, and for most of us. Most of us that attended the conference were from the United States, and our hosts and most of the presenters and students were Canadian. So they expressed great empathy and hospitality to us, poked at us just a little bit in a friendly manner. And for those of us that face the situation that we're in here, we were able to bring this material to bear on our lives, both at the conference and then at the meeting that followed, which was a more intimate group. So fundamentally, we were asking, what do we do in situations that challenge the moral basis of our lives? What do our traditions teach us? How can learning from our traditions help us uncover what the Dharma has to offer? And how can we guide our students in uncovering what this means for them? So we had a variety of presenters, people who from different countries, different experiences. We had people who were in healthcare, people in the military, people who were monks and nuns, just a variety of situations. It was really rich and wonderful, and there were many excellent presentations and discussions, and it was enlightening, shall we say. So we can ask, what do we mean by deeply held moral beliefs, or what's the moral foundation of our lives? What are the guideposts that help us understand how we live and what guides us in our choices? So in the case of Buddhist teachings, we can say the Bodhisattva vows, right? Not to kill, not to steal, not to lie, not to harm ourselves or others with our speech or actions. To take these principles and engage with them in our lives so that they become alive and real for us, not just abstractions. So I'm really grateful to the precept study group that's happening here. and to the leaders of the precept study group, and to everyone that's participating, because this is how we learn what guides our lives, is by engaging with questions about, well, what does this mean? What does that mean? What does that got to do with my life? So these precepts are essential to explore for us, but we can also keep them at a distance. We can allow them to remain abstract. Personally, with teachers and with good spiritual friends and in community, to make them real, we have to personally reflect on them and talk with others, right? Explore what they mean directly and how they form the bedrock of our lives. And do they form the bedrock of our lives? Whatever language or principles, and one of the things that was interesting about the conference, as I'll tell you later, is it wasn't all Buddhist presenters, but we were all taking it in and examining it from the point of view of the Dharma. So whatever language there is, we use it, we explore it. Perhaps sometimes there's no language at all. So we can think, what is the unspoken basis of what we feel is right? Not in the sense of rigidity or righteousness, but as a basis of connection and caring, what settles us, what supports us and others, what guides us in our actions, our inner actions, in our own minds and hearts, and then how that's expressed with others. So I thought I'd pick a couple of things that were talked about at the conference. I don't want to, another time perhaps I'll go into the details of how moral injury, what is moral injury, what is moral distress, how those things play out in really difficult circumstances. But today, I just want to talk about two aspects that were presented. Speak up. Speak up? Okay. Did you guys miss anything? Yeah, you got it? Okay, I'll make sure to speak up though, so that you can hear it. So there's two aspects. Wait till we close the windows and then I'll talk some more, because otherwise I have to shout. Thank you, Shinshu. Okay, so there's two presentations or two aspects of the many that we heard that I want to focus on today. The first is a part of the teachings of Ajahn Buwa, a Burmese Theravadan monk, and his teachings were presented to us by the Polish Buddhist philosopher and practitioner Marcin Fabjanski. I hope I got that right, Fabjanski, he was terrific. Anyway, the second presentation was by an Islamic scholar, Sadaf Jamal, who discussed the Quran and what it has to say about how we respond to moral challenges, distress, and injury, and how they can point us, and then we considered how they can point us to Buddhist teachings that support and guide us. So I just want to point out, these can sound abstract, like, oh, you're at the University of Toronto, there's all these professors there and people, and we're listening to this philosopher and this scholar, and it can all be kind of very like heady. It is not like that at all. So it's one of the liberating things about this particular group and why we all love it. These presentations and our discussions were filled with humanity and care, because that's our job, is to translate the Dharma, the teachings, into what is actually happening on the ground. So Marcin's presentation reminded us that the teachings point us over and over again to the need to heal our attention and land in the body. So we heal our attention by not floating off into the nether regions of abstraction and pulling ourselves out of the life that we live. We heal our attention by landing in the body and being here in this world with all beings. So to draw on Dogen Zenji, he speaks of harmonizing body and mind. And remember, mind doesn't mean what's between our ears. It means our consciousness, our hearts, our thinking, our whole being. So this harmonizing is what Ajahn Bua is talking about here. When we do that, our lives and our experience shifts. When we heal our attention, our lives and our experience shifts in ways that transform us and our world in positive ways. So we don't live abstractly. We address the needs of ourselves and our world in a way that is not divorced from ourselves and our world, but of the one that we live in. So our lives, our being is interwoven in many, many ways. Ajahn Bua also speaks directly to a teaching that wisdom is not our wisdom. He describes wisdom as a non-personal force that awakens us. Okay? So this is difficult to talk about because it sounds, we don't want to think it's some alien like force that's like the Borg or something that's going to come in and take us over. That's not what it means. We're talking about something that's not limited to our preconceived ideas. That's not limited to what we on our own can come up with. So if we limit our understanding of wisdom to what we already know, then we're just going to run around in circles, right? I've talked about this before. We have delusion, and then we use delusion to try and get out of delusion. And then we just end up building up more delusion. So there has to be some way in which we open our hearts and minds to something that's beyond what we ordinarily reduce ourselves to be. So we, in a way, we open ourselves and allow ourselves to learn the ways of wisdom. We allow ourselves, we allow ourselves to be touched by the world. We come to trust that we can respond in ways that we may not have considered in the past. For example, Ajahn Bua describes a particular way of approaching a problem or a dilemma. He says, wisdom began to tackle this problem in earnest. Wisdom began to tackle this problem in earnest. So this is a way of describing something that's difficult to describe, but it's a way of us saying, oh, I'm going to sit down and listen to the wisdom that's alive in this world. I'm going to listen. I'm going to attend. So this brings wisdom right down into our lives and opens the door to a new way of being and responding. This is transformative, right? And it's hopeful. We're not just stuck with our little hamster minds running around in a circle. It's a way to find our way that honors what is most true and most respectful of the values that we hold most dear. From that, we can come to know our responsibility, and we can be fully engaged and creative. Marcin had a lot more things to say, but those are the two that I thought were most relevant for today. Sadef's presentation kind of brought this right down to earth. She outlined 5 teachings in the Quran that reflect or express the understanding in Islam that we have an innate sense of what is right and wrong, and a responsibility to one another. So as I listened to her, she wasn't making the connection with Buddhism. She was expecting us to make the connection with Buddhism. So as I listened to her, it occurred to me that we can consider each of these actions or teachings in terms of the Buddha Dharma. So I'm not saying they are the same as our teachings or practices, only that they sparked in me new ways of looking at our lives. Especially, how do we respond to our world? They give us a kind of steps or concrete path for what we can do that expresses our commitment to our deepest values. So having that, we can feel a sense of competence, yeah, not at sea. We have something that say, oh yeah, let's think about this. Let's reflect on this. Let's enact this. It gives us confidence in our ability to contribute to the world, to what we want to see for ourselves and others, without taking on the burden of feeling like it's all up to us. So these, I don't think these were in any order of priority, but I think they all interrelate and support one another. So here's the first. The first is seeking justice, even if it costs you. She was very clear about that, even if it costs you. So I think this is a clear example of the Bodhisattva vow. Respecting all beings, not placing yourself above others, caring for all equally, and acting on that caring. That's my understanding of this. Caring for all equally and acting on that caring. The second was repentance for actions that cause harm. So as I understand Sajak's teaching, this is about forgiveness from others and forgiveness from God. And it's a posture of seeking forgiveness. It requires an open heart. To think about that in terms of our tradition, we take seriously the need to attend to our actions and find ways to heal ourselves and others from any harm we may have caused. So we're honest with ourselves. We pay attention. This is not corrosive. This is not like sinking us down. It's about being simple and honest and aware. This brings harmony to our community, and it frees us from self-clinging. The clinging of having corrosive views of yourself is a very powerful thing. And it's just clinging. If we think we know who we are or who we aren't, and that binds us and limits us, that's not the Buddha way. So there's a good spirit in this. It's not grim. It's not harsh. It's not about punishment or being relegated to some lesser realm. It's simply kind and honest. Dogen tells us that when we do this, we are buoyed up by the path. The path comes to meet us. Bodhisattvas are happy. They support us. You know, when we are honest with ourselves, when we are aware, when we cause harm, when we begin anew, we are supported. This is a big relief I think. It's a big relief. Third, this is that Sajak taught us was the teaching that good deeds transform the impact of bad deeds. I don't mean that there's a ledger book somewhere where everything's balanced out. I didn't get the sense that that's what it meant. In any case, what we can say in our tradition is that caring heals. We commit to doing what supports life as best we can, what creates harmony, caring, and a kind of lively community. When we fall short of our goal, we recommit, we take care, we do what we can to repair any damage we have done and make a fresh start. This last part is crucial. We will reflect, we apologize, or otherwise make an effort to repair, and we recommit ourselves to our path, and then we start anew. Fresh start, as Anipema says, fresh start. Not hobbled by what has been. This is a process that doesn't erase what was done, but it transforms it. The fourth is community support. This is key in our lives. And according to Sajak, key to the teachings of Islam. Encouraging, there's an encouragement for everyone, not only to seek and build community, but to seek support in community. So this is Sangha. This is the third refuge, right? We take refuge in the community, as well as the Buddha and the teachings. We recognize that being together, giving and receiving support is essential. It's not extra. It's a part of the whole of our path. So the fifth is community prayer. Recognizing that everyone shares this life together and is faced with challenges and difficulties, coming together to pray strengthens the spirit of everyone. Sadat mentioned Ramadan in this regard. So to me, this means clearly recognizing the sacred nature of ourself and our lives together, and expressing that directly, recalling ourselves to that fact. We are more than our habits and minds tell us. What we use the word sacred or things, I'm real comfortable with that. I know some people aren't, but that's okay. You don't have to be. One of the things about the Zen Center is you don't have to agree with anything. Just try it and see. For me, there's something powerful about saying, I am more than I think I am, and so is everybody else. When we recognize this in ourselves and others and practice this together, we are changed for the better. It takes courage, I think, to shed ideas about who we are and live out a different way of being and come together in this way. But, since we're already together, interdependent and whole, why not? I say be brave, Think about your life, our life, in the deepest possible way. So these 5 things provide us, I think, or a way we can engage with them and think about them, try them on as a way to look at our lives and act in support of the world we want to live in. Concrete, every day. I think this frees us and gives us life. So first, we remember as often as we can Ajahn Bua's teaching. Land in the body. Wisdom is real in our lives. We can rely on it. We can find the sense of it and stay close to it. Then consider these actions. Act on behalf of the equality of all beings. First, cultivate seeing all beings as equal. All beings, whether you like them or not, whatever your opinion is, all beings equal. And then act to support that truth in the world. This is an act of kindness and clarity. It can have a quality of energy and fierceness about it, but there's nothing harsh or judgmental. Second, pay attention to the harm you cause or that is caused by our collective action or inaction. Find a healthy way to recognize that and do what you can to address it. Don't succumb to despair, because that is a colossal waste of time and a pit of delusion. And it doesn't do anybody any good. It's just doesn't. Act to benefit others. Dogen is very clear about the importance of this. When we act in this way, we transform ourselves and our world. Support community and turn to community for support. The Sangha jewel is real, and we can build strong communities together, here and elsewhere. Recognize the sacred in yourself, in others, in the world, whatever that means to you. Don't be embarrassed to do this. Have you ever felt like people are embarrassed to admit that there's the sacred in the world? Me? Moi? No. That person? No. Sorry, it's real. There's nothing outside our reality. This is a simple, deep, caring, and honest truth. It is just the way things are. So I found the courage and wisdom expressed by the people at the conference and the sense of kinship enlightening. And I encourage all of us to do this together, to pay attention to the teachings that inspire us and provide guidance in challenging times, to take time to reflect on them and find what has meaning for you, with the knowledge that you are one human being in a community of beings.